More and more web design jobs require knowledge in HTML, CSS, and other technologies like WordPress. And if you're becoming a new web designer, maybe you're wondering, is it worth it for me to go learn coding? Should I learn coding to be able to start my career? And maybe if it's not necessary, would it still be worth it for you to make more money as a designer? I'm going to talk about all that in this video. My name is Alec. I'm the owner of a web development agency. I've worked with a ton of designers. A lot of them knew how to code. A lot of them didn't know how to code. I've hired a lot of designers. And today I'm going to share with you my perspective on this topic. I feel like no, it is not necessary to learn coding. However, whether or not it would be worth it for you to learn it, that's another question. First of all, I want you to understand that there definitely are enough jobs for designers who don't know how to code. It's not a question of whether or not it's possible. It is definitely possible. It's not a question of whether or not it's hard to find jobs. It is still not too hard to find jobs without knowing how to code. The problem is that if you don't know how to code, if you don't know how to do at least basic HTML, CSS, if you don't know how to do WordPress, the problem is a lot of jobs, whether it be normal jobs or freelance jobs, the people who hire you expect you to be able to build a website. That's weird because you yourself know the difference between a web designer and a web developer, but your clients don't, all right? Most people who want a website think that a web designer, a guy who designs website, is able to make websites. So you need to at least be able to use a tool like Webflow or WordPress or things like that, because if you try to find freelance jobs, maybe you find jobs on Upwork, and what happens is a lot of clients, you end up canceling the project, you end up going through the interview, going through the bidding war, going through the proposal process and everything, to end up just telling the client that in the end, they had made a wrong assumption that they only needed a web designer when they actually needed also a guy who knows how to code, and they didn't tell you in the proposal, and you end up losing a job and losing your time. Or you try to find freelance jobs outside of Upwork. You start doing a lot of the work, doing cold email, cold call, mechanical outreach, any other method, and you end up finding a lot of prospects, a lot of people who would be interested in a website, would be interested in web design. But what happens is, because you don't know how to code, you have to hire a developer to do the project with you, who probably, because he's probably going to be a freelancer, is going to take a big chunk of your profits. Or you start talking with the client and they realize you can't do all the work, and so they start working with other people. It's not always going to happen. You will be able to find jobs. You will be able probably to find high-paying jobs, but it's just a lot of issues that you can easily fix by just learning the basics of CSS, HTML, and WordPress. Technically, you can probably learn all three of these, all the basics of all three in less than a month. And this is going to allow you to have a lot less trouble in all the rest of your career. Like, you spend 1 month learning these things, and that allows you for the rest of your career to not have to worry about not being able to make websites by yourself, not having to worry about whether or not you're going to be needing to hire developers to help you and have to go through that process and hope that the freelancer you hire don't scam you. And all these issues are going to be fixed if you just learn the basics of HTML and CSS. So I wouldn't say it's necessary for a designer, but I would say nowadays it's a damn good decision to learn the basics of HTML and CSS and WordPress. If you're a designer, I wouldn't go learn like JavaScript, PHP, and all these things. Like, just learning the basics, and maybe learn cPanel to be able to put your website on a server and be able to do that yourself. But if you have all these basic things that you can learn in less than a month, I think that's way enough than you need. And there's no point, I think, nowadays to learn to build complex website and be able to code complex things, because I think with WordPress and Wix and a lot of these other CMS, these tools that you can use to build websites without coding, you can fill the needs of pretty much 95% of all the potential clients out there, and spending months learning other technologies like complex programming languages to be able to get some of the potential clients in the last 5% that you can't access with just WordPress is not worth it for me. The reason I think you should learn HTML and CSS on top of WordPress alone could be enough. WordPress with Elementor without HTML, CSS would be enough, but HTML and CSS allow you to customize WordPress so that you can make the websites pretty much look exactly the way you want them to look and exactly the way you design them in maybe Figma or Photoshop or whatever other tool that you use to make your mockups and make your and design your site. I know a lot of designers don't design them while coding it. Like you basically make an image of the site you're building. And so being able to translate that initial mock-up perfectly once you start coding the website and building, you know, the code and using technology to build it is a great tool that you can achieve through learning HTML and CSS, which again, you can learn in less than a month. Like all these technologies together. It's not like a month CSS, a month HTML. No, it's like a month CSS plus HTML plus cPanel plus WordPress, all four, you can learn them all in a month together. So yeah, in my opinion, it's worth it. So curious to hear your opinion about that in the comments if you are a designer right now. And with that, the next video I think you should watch is my video on why your Upwork profile is not getting any views if you're struggling to find freelance jobs. That's going to give you a good insight about the state of the market right now. With that, I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in my next videos. Take care.